Picture this. You are born again, you pray in tongues, you read the Bible, and you do everything that the Bible says. As far as you know, you are doing everything right. One time, you pray to God concerning a mountain in your life that really bothers you. At first, you are very hopeful, knowing what Luke chapter 1 verse 37 says. However, with time, you start feeling some frustration because there is no change regardless of the prayers you have been making over time. Not wanting to show your frustration, you decide to pray harder and read the word more. You continue like that for a while until you can't continue anymore. At that point, you become more honest with your feelings. But before you let out all your frustration, you decide to take the safer step of asking if there is something you are missing. At that point, you can't tell if you have any more strength left within you to trust in God. However, deep down, you can't denounce God. You don't know how, but you just feel you can't denounce God. The position you are in is so frustrating that barely anyone can understand you. Today, I will be explaining this frustrating situation that many believers find themselves in. But before I start explaining, let me tell you a little predicament I found myself in. I was blessed to be in a church where people pray in tongues and hear from God. It was fascinating to hear the promises that God was making in people's lives. These words from God were coming almost every time we gathered for a fellowship. Just like everyone else in the fellowship, I desired to receive a word from God. Good for me, I didn't have to wait for long. In one of the fellowships, I was given a word from the Lord. It was a report about what God had observed about my life, and it was pinpoint accurate. Even though there was no promise, I was elated that God knew me that well. The word motivated me to pursue God even more. Not long afterwards, the Lord used one of the leaders in the fellowship to give me a promise. This is what I had been waiting for. I received a couple more promises over my life in the subsequent fellowships, which equally excited me. All this happened within the first year of me joining that church. However, things started to change after staying in that church for a while. It all began one evening after one of those fellowships. A sister in the fellowship had noticed how I had received so many words from the Lord over the past many months and decided to ask me a casual question. I could tell she wanted to ask me that question for a while, but she didn't know how to frame it. Her question was simple but puzzling. Augustine, can God make a promise and fail to fulfill it? I knew there were deeper concerns behind the question, but not wanting to engage deeply at the time, I just said no. The sister never said anything more, which left me thinking a lot about her question. I could roughly tell why she asked that question, and I understood why she was reluctant to ask it. You see, in the church, we used to receive a lot of words from the Lord, but we barely discussed the fulfillment of those words. Asking about the fulfillment of those words made you look like a faithless person. That sister was notorious for going against the flow. At least in this occasion, it helped her to speak up when everyone else was quiet. Quietly, I began analyzing the many words that had been spoken in the days following the sister's question. Quickly, an ugly truth began to emerge. I wanted to avoid it, but it was too blatant to avoid. You see, many people would get excited when receiving words from the Lord, but when the words were never fulfilled, they would either assume no word was spoken or they would quietly leave the fellowship. A good number of people were discouraged because of unfulfilled promises from God, but they would not speak up. Being somewhat unconventional, I decided to dig deeper. I quickly discovered that some of my friends had similar concerns, but just like everyone else, they didn't know what to do. It bothered me so bad that I decided to ask the one person everyone was avoiding. I got two answers, and those are the two answers I'll be explaining to you. Anytime you pray in tongues, trusting God for a breakthrough, an interesting sequence of events happen in the spiritual realm. First, God is pleased that you chose to trust Him to deliver that breakthrough. Second, the enemy is displeased that you chose to trust God to deliver the breakthrough. As a result, the enemy digs up accusations against you to present them before God to stop God from delivering the breakthrough for you. That is why he is called an accuser of brethren in Revelation chapter 12 verse 10. If the accusations are false, God will ignore them and deliver your breakthrough. If the accusations are true, God will refrain from delivering your breakthrough. If the accusations are debatable, God will test you to determine your stand. When God is testing your stand, he begins by giving you a promise. The promise is conditional, but oftentimes the Lord doesn't tell you the conditions. Then God allows situations that really push you to the limit to come your way. If you stand firm all through the testing, God confirms to the devil, your accuser, that you have overcome the test and you deserve the breakthrough. Then he delivers your breakthrough. If you give up during the test, God refrains from delivering the breakthrough because the accusations of the enemy against you are true. If you remain undecided, the test continues until the day you will make a stand. So, what should you do if you have done everything known to you to get a breakthrough but nothing is forthcoming? Simple. Make your request more specific and be more proactive in your actions. Why? I don't get you, sir. 1. The more specific your request is, the stronger your stand will be and the more likely the Lord will deliver your breakthrough. 2. The more action you take towards your intended breakthrough, the more faith you have in receiving that breakthrough, which prompts God to deliver that breakthrough according to Mark chapter 11 verse 24. Anytime doubts want to creep in, pray in tongues. This video was inspired by a comment from Lydia Rackham. Leave your questions in the comments. God bless you.